Pigeons are the great bird of the city. They're known to wreck things, cause terror, eat trash, among many other things. Throughout history, pigeons have been known as this disgusting pest, but in recent time, I've seen a lot of love for the little bird. I mean, they are pudgy and kind of endearing in this weird way. Now, maybe it's my deep love of birds, but yeah, things have changed. So I'm going to show some love to our wild little friends. Hello, I'm Mercury of Nightmares Art, and this is a pigeon. Now, pigeons are by no means a favorite bird. The secretary bird is the only one for my heart, but I do have quite fondness of these little guys. But one thing that I've always thought was cool was homing or messaging pigeons. The idea that these birds can send letters over thousands of miles has always been fascinating to me. I mean, look at these little guys. Would you really trust them with your mail? Well, people did, so I want to talk about pigeons. Just to interject, because of my new creature sheets, I haven't been able to record the process of making the whole sheet because my Chromebook just isn't able to handle it. The other program I used to use would be fine because of how tiny it is, but I got an iPad and now I'm using Procreate. Also, because this video was starting to be made before I got this iPad, this means the first drawings are both in my tiny little program and the sheet recordings are now in Procreate. Anyway, let's get back to your scheduled pigeon programming. Pigeons are birds that share the family Columbidae with doves. In fact, pigeons are doves. They are just the more notable family members, whether you love them or hate them. Not to hate on doves, as they were a key part in eventually stealing the rainbow from God, after all. Now, there are 352 species of pigeons. Now, that's a lot of birds, and as much as I would love to, I don't have the time to research all of them and make the perfect additional pigeon. That's why I just went to the IOC bird list to find all of the ones that lived in the Himalayas. That's right, I'm making a mountain pigeon, and 13 is a much more manageable number. The mountain imperial pigeon was my main reference, and that's because I wanted the bird to be an imperial pigeon, because they are larger pigeons, have larger tails. Now, these aren't the species homing or even domesticated pigeons hail from. They actually come from the wild rock pigeons. So what is it that makes the wild rock pigeon the best species to make a good homing pigeon? Well, part of that is magnetoreception. This is actually another reason why I'm a firm believer that birds are cooler than people. Or at least cooler than me. Birds pretty much come in with a built-in GPS. Not only do they know what direction they are flying, but they have a great memory. Both of those things I'm criminally bad at. While most birds have this, some birds are better at it than others. Which is why homing pigeons were specifically bred with that in mind. How did they test which pigeons were better at navigating? I don't know, but they did. Just to add, these birds aren't in actual GPS. They can only have a fairly limited number of locations they can travel to without much fail. Which is why there were pigeon posts, or places where loads of pigeons were kept separated by different locations so that this pigeon was trained to head to another specific pigeon post. Honestly, I know our modern way of sending physical letters on trucks is way more efficient and far less likely to get your mail lost in transit, but I think we need to bring back pigeon posts just because I think the idea of sending mail via bird is cool. And to top it off, it would definitely be better for the environment. Probably. I didn't actually do research into the impact pigeon posts have on the environment, I just like Letterbird. So that's why my pigeon here is pretty good at navigation and homing, which is also common for pigeons that live up in the Himalayas. They often need to travel long distances for foods, and it's a tad bit important to be able to return to the nest. And that's really about it. This is the Phantasticus striped imperial pigeon. Its home is the Albandian Peaks. This is a much more simpler video, but look at this guy. Can you really be upset with a simpler video with him in it? It's just a shame. There are so many dangers when living in places that are so high up. I mean, in a fantasy world like mine, where there are harpies, griffins, dragons, and many more things that would like to see our feathered friend become a tasty snack, while there are those dangers, the dangers that are suffered by many living creatures, There is definitely something to note about these mountains. They say all manner of weird things happen on these cliff sides, that many of the creatures that live there change. For those who don't know, this is what my fantasy world looks like. It was broken apart many years ago, but that's not a story I have time for today. Here at this point stands the largest mountain known in Phantasticus. It is also the habitat of the striped imperial pigeon. These mountains are one of the few places where the atmosphere of Phantasticus leaks into the physical world. These places contain such high magical energy that it causes creatures to rapidly evolve and change. They are bigger, stronger, faster than their unchanged counterparts. Some of these corrupted species appear to be nearing the level of beasts or minor deities in status. So this is why we are actually here. This is the star pigeon, a four-winged, darker, and notably larger subspecies of the striped imperial pigeon. There isn't as much known about them, primarily due to the nature of the habitat they live in. It's hard to study animals that live so high up, especially when there's this danger of the thing that's changing these birds. However, there is one member of the subspecies that is well known, and is the creature you see drawn here on this sheet. This is Astaria. She is said to be a messenger for the gods, specifically for the Phantasticus Wish Pantheon. Although it's been a while since she was last seen, when she was around, her talons often contained letters that were mostly confirmed to be from the hands of Alias and Valkyrie. Researchers have attempted to catch Astaria in the past. I mean, even for the best homing pigeon, she could travel so many more places than any bird should naturally be allowed. She would often accept capture and was really friendly, but the bird was always gone as soon as somebody would blink their eyes. The only explanation for this is that Astaria was saved by the gods she served. Her captures and the record of Astaria wasn't in vain, as not only did it get researchers the slightest bit more information about star pigeons than what was thought possible at the time, but miraculously, before her disappearance, Astaria was recorded to live about 45 years in sightings alone. And without including her years as a fledgling, she has lived about 25 years longer than her striped imperial pigeon cousins. But now Astaria is finally back, but not for the world, but for you viewers. That's right, this was all one even bigger scheme to say that my Phantasticus characters are taking asks over on the Phantasticus Ask Tumblr blog. Just write a message to Astaria's pigeon post and she'll be sure that your message gets delivered. This doesn't mean it will be answered. It depends if the character wants to answer it. And if I have time. At least for now, I'm only really promoting the Wish Pantheon, which contains these 12 characters and the Wishmaker, if you dare. But if you want to ask questions to any of my other characters, like Waffle, or even Vettelkirsi, Dot, and even Azrael, who am I to stop you? The blog is in the first link in the description, where it has a little bit more information, but I hope to see you there. And with that, I will conclude this video. I genuinely do hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, you should probably like the video to let me know that you want more of it. And you should subscribe, because I genuinely like drawing birds, and if you like birds, then you will see a lot more birds. With that, I do take requests, so if you, dear viewer, have an idea for a creature or some interesting gimmick you want me to try, then comment it down below and I'll give it a shot. I do love myself a good challenge. Also with that, I did get my first piece of fan art. Now this is a piece of Valerie, which is done by Mary Bridges, who's a good friend of mine, and that's why they drew a character you wouldn't really be able to find on the internet anywhere. It's her favorite character, and who knows, maybe if you stick around, you'll get to know why. I also have another piece that was drawn by her cousin, who doesn't really have any social media, about a character who I've posted about a little bit more. She drew the Dawn Mother as part of Inktober because her nickname is Button. By the way, yes, I was lightly shamed for not drawing Dawn for Inktober because of the fact her nickname is Button and one of the prompts was Button. Also, if you would ever like to make fan art of any of my creatures and characters and want it featured here, you can add my main Tumblr, Bluesky, Instagram, or even post it in this channel I have for my Discord server. With that said, good night, good day, and stay safe out there, my little creatures and critters. Bye!